Well, few people can say they know how Rupert Murdoch ticks, but Les Hinton can. He rose through the ranks of News Corp to become Murdoch's right-hand man as one of the most powerful figures in the media. They parted ways at the height of the News of the World phone hacking scandal when Les famously fell on his sword. And now his memoir is giving rare insights into his former boss, and he's with us on the panel now. Please welcome him to Studio 10. Les, you began as a 15-year-old copy boy in Adelaide, where one of your first jobs was to bring Rupert his sangers for lunch.
I had no breakfast, ham sandwich for breakfast.
Oh, brekkie.
Huh? He asked me to buy him a sandwich. I was so nervous I forgot which sandwich he asked for. So I got a ham and a beef and held him behind my back and produced the one.
What about when you nearly got the sack through hiding under the desk watching the telly?
Watching his telly, yeah. He had the only telly in the whole building in 1959, and I used to hide behind his leather sofa watching the telly, and one night he walked in and I sat there thinking, my career is definitely doomed. I was 15 years old. I wanted to be a journalist. And he didn't. He just turned out the light and left me. Years ago, later I told him, and he laughed, of course, but didn't disagree that he would have fired me on the spot.
What was he like as a boss?
He could be horrible a lot of the time, tough a lot of the time, but surprisingly kind of forgiving and in a way easy to work with, because he was full of energy and full of ideas, and he was willing to try things. But he could be really cantankerous pain, a comprehensive pain sometimes. But on balance, I enjoyed it a lot.
He is, and that's one thing that keeps coming back, that he is this sort of whirlwind of energy. He's constantly looking for new ideas, even now, well into his, the autumn of his years. He was also, but I know exactly what you mean. I work for news, obviously, and, you know, there's a sense of everyone running around on the Death Star and Darth Vader's about to arrive. It's like, oh, my God, he's coming. Is everything okay? I used to get booted off my desk and told to go down to the pub if I wasn't looking ship-shape, and they'd say, Rupert's coming, get out of here, just don't be seen.
But he loves that about you, doesn't he?
Well, I think so. I mean, I've sat down in a room with him and stuff and spoken to him and stuff, and the tension is palpable, but I wonder how much of that is him and how much is that the people around him?
Well, I think the thing is, the question is News Corp a personality cult, right? And it wasn't until I finished working with him that it even occurred to me that it was, which is probably the proof that it is. So I would tell people who work with me, senior guys, very experienced people, Rupert's coming to town, and suddenly they'd all go quiet. They'd start shuffling the papers on their desks. They'd be really, really sort of nervous.
Les, you resigned around the time of the phone hacking scandal because it occurred under your watch.
Yeah.
Do you think things have changed?
Yeah, I think, look, that was the phone hacking happened 12 years ago. And when these guys were arrested, it never happened again. But the truth is, it was a bad thing that happened. It damaged a lot of people's lives. It ended, I think, unfairly in the death of a 168-year-old newspaper. But things have changed. And it wasn't just the News of the World, by the way. There were lots of other newspapers doing it.
Indeed.
And that stopped. But it was a bad period, and it was a way in which sort of over-eager reporters made use of new technology, and it was a terrible sin, and they paid for it.
What was Rupert like as you knew him?
Well,
apart from all the people around him.
Well, when I first knew him, of course, I was a kid and I was terrified, and I grew, because I always said when I was a kid reading about these big beasts of media that I never wanted to work at close quarters with an actual media tycoon because they seem so horrible. Of course, that life plan went right out the window, and I spent years working closely with him, and he would make me tense, I've got to say, and you would know this, but he never ever frightened me, because in the end, if you thought he was wrong, which he not infrequently was, and you were willing to stand up to him and say, look, I'll do what you want, but you've got to listen to me. And he would listen to me, and sometimes he even did what I thought was right.
My sense is often he was waiting for someone to... He would often tire sort of yes people. He has a bit of a sense of humour. He liked people who made jokes and took the piss. He liked people to tell him the truth.
He liked mischief, and it's true. If you look at a record of the people who worked closely with him, those that were the most ready to agree with him, they're the ones that lasted the shortest amount of time. Because they didn't stop him making mistakes, which was important.
Can we ask about the phone call that you took from Princess Di? What was that all about?
So I just arrived at News International in London in '95. My secretary, a woman from New York, very sceptical of crank phone calls, says, oh, there's a woman on the phone says she's Princess Diana, because you never take a chance. So I took the call, and it was Princess Diana, who was, as a new guy in town, pleading with me to stop the paparazzi pestering her.
Oh, wow. What did you say?
Well, the thing I remember clearly is because it was such a corny line, but always stuck in my head, and it's in fact a chapter title in one of my books, I'm a damsel in distress. And I really couldn't help because the paparazzi were free agents.
Yeah.
And so when she finally died and the paparazzi were associated, if not responsible for her death, I mean, it still felt bad because although Fleet Street, where I worked, didn't actually have anything to do with her death, they did really lay siege, we did really lay siege to her life. And I felt bad about that.
We could talk to you all day,
Yes.
but you can read more in Les Hinton's memoir. It's called The Bootle Boy, An Untidy Life in News. Les, thanks so much for talking to us this morning.
Thank you.
Up next, we're getting into the kitchen for